Hey everybody, this is Dr. Seth here from Works Chiropractic. Today I'm going to talk about 4 easy ways to protect your back. Now the following is not to be construed as medical advice anyway, it's for informational purposes only. But I think you're going to have a blast. Let's go, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to advise you to do is one, lift with advantage. Now what does that mean? So a lot of people hurt themselves by lifting with their back. Well, research shows that 70% of people who have no back pain have got bulging or damaged discs in their back already. So that means that structure is already, in most people, weak to a certain extent and vulnerable to injury. So it really behooves you to act as if, to move forward in that regard. What I mean by advantage is this. I'm going to grab Wilson here. Okay, I need to draw a face on him. At this point, I haven't yet. So this is my bowling ball I'd use oftentimes to demonstrate the size of a head. Just grab something heavy if it's safe for you to do so. Try this experiment with me, okay? I'll wait. Okay, got it? Okay, good. So try holding your heavy object, maybe a carton of milk or whatever, close to you. Now try holding it at arm's length. You see my arms shaking? There's a good reason. When I'm holding the ball out at arm's length, I'm at a mechanical disadvantage. I'm effectively multiplying the weight of this thing from 16 pounds to well over 100, and the shaking shows it. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, oftentimes I'm sure you guys have heard lift with your legs, right? It's not that your back is weak. It's not that your back can't take it, but what your back can't take is 1,000 pounds of force directed right to that lower spine, right where movement is greatest, and most people tend to have the most damage. Okay, so it doesn't. Your back muscles are meant to be used, but you need to use them intelligently. You need to use them the way they were meant to be used, as a supporting part of a compound movement. So any type of lifting that you do should not be done as a bending at the waist, because that multiplies force on your back, but rather as a squat type motion. Because look, right, as I lift this ball from the floor, I'm keeping it right at my center of gravity at all times. That's the power of lifting with using mechanical advantage. Don't lift 10, 20, 30 times the weight. Just lift one time the weight by lifting from close to your center. Okay. Now there's a little caveat with this. Some people have bad hips, bad knees, those types of things. If you have constraints that are keeping you from lifting properly, consult the appropriate physiotherapist or chiropractor such as myself, someone who's going to be able to help you get those joints working the best they can for you, so that you can protect your back. You don't want to sacrifice your spine for an icky knee if you can help it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is to challenge your balance. The big muscles that, and we'll get into this shortly. The big muscles that move the spine are great for moving it, for lifting weight and what have you. But a lot of injury occurs because of lack of proper shunt stabilization. Every time you have a movement, you have a big muscle that's moving the joint, and then you have usually a smaller muscle that's compressing the joint so it doesn't dislocate or cause damage. Those muscles are involuntary. That means you couldn't possibly move them even if you wanted to by thinking about it or trying. The only way that you can strengthen those muscles, I don't care how many crunches you do, how many Roman chairs you do, how many Superman exercises you do, you can't do it. But what you can do is challenge your balance. Something like a simple tree yoga pose, just standing on one leg. I have pretty good balance, but maybe you can see me shaking a little bit. My left tends to be a little bit worse. See all these little corrections that I'm doing? That's entirely involuntary. I'm reacting to the instability of standing on this slightly shaking ankle. That is building my stability way more than any core exercise ever could. It's basically the best thing that you can do. Okay. Now that being said, we're going to move on to the third key thing, easy way to protect your back, and that's going to be to stay conditioned. What I find over and over again when people come into me and they're injured, They were doing something that they don't usually do, stressing their body in a way that they don't usually do. And so while most of us think about the importance of staying in shape to keep our weight down and look really great when we go to the beach, the best benefit to staying in shape is to be strong enough to face challenges when they come up so that you don't get hurt, to protect yourself for the future. It's basically banking physical capability so when the challenges arise, you don't fall apart. Okay. There are lots of great routines in there. I'm not going to go over one with you here today, but you basically need to find an exercise routine that you do most days of the week. I always try to work out for 6 and give myself, maybe 1 off. I'm not doing the same thing every time. I'm moving around. I'm doing my running. I'm doing my extreme gardening. I won't get into that, but basically I work up a sweat, out there. I'm doing things that I enjoy, that I like to do, so that I can keep my body in shape, so that when I have to help a friend move a couch, when I have to, do something of that, of that nature, lift up a car to save a drowning child, I don't know, whatever it is, my body doesn't fall apart, okay? I don't do that stuff in the normal course of my life. I'm a white-collar professional, okay? But I want to be ready, because I don't want people coming into me for help and me be like, nope, I threw my back out, sorry, Joe. That wouldn't look really good, So stay in shape to protect yourself. It's probably the best reason I can ever think of. If you need motivation, look at someone who can't move, who's missing a week from work, or if you've ever been in that situation of throwing your back out, of hurting yourself shoveling snow, of hurting yourself raking leaves, of hurting yourself, moving that couch when you go to move, which you haven't actually lifted the thing in 4 years since the last time you moved. All those things, they hardly ever happen, but they do happen. You gotta be ready, right? Readiness is key. The last thing that I'm going to go over here, the fourth easy way that you can protect your back is to protect your back from the trauma of sitting. This is huge. I'm gonna grab my spine model here. It's getting old. It's seen better days. And look, he's got a disc bulge, just like 70% of Americans. So he's true to type. Okay. Your back comes equipped, assuming that you're normal and healthy, with what's called a normal lordotic curve. It's J-shaped, more in the bottom than it is in the top part. And when you're standing, when you're upright, this has some cushioning effect. It distributes force. So you're only handling one time your weight. But when you sit, what happens? That curve straightens out. Now, all the weight of your body is pounding straight down into this spine, irritating those discs, irritating those joints, creating 3 times the compression that you would get if you were standing. Excuse me. It also happens to be ragweed season, so if I do that again, I apologize. A very easy way to deal with this, because nearly everyone has sitting in their lives, is to just take something. I've had my, I don't recommend fancy back supports or molded things that fit on your seat or anything like that, because those are all designed as one size fits all. It might be an average height person it was made for, maybe a tall one, maybe a short one, maybe a green one, maybe a brown one. Who in the world knows? But what you can do is using a simple type of thing. I just rolled up a T-shirt. I've had people take my advice and cut a length of pool noodle, and they said it worked really great. The key is to just have something that gives you a little bit of support, like a rolled up towel, like a rolled up T-shirt, like maybe a little pool noodle. The key is to make sure that it's not shoving you forward so much that it hurts. But you take something, and what you want to do is put it right across the part where your back curves in the most. I don't know if I can flatten my shirt out enough for you to see that, but you can feel it. Right where the out curve of your upper back kind of ends, and it starts to curve out towards your backside, right in there. Place something right there, and then when you go to sit, let me pull this into the frame here. Just keep it right there, and just sit back on it. And it's just going to give you a little gentle support to keep your back in the right shape, so that you're not compressing your spine with 3 times the force that it would otherwise do when you're standing. That's why so many people who have intermittent back problems, that get so much worse when they're sitting, that extra protection. So protect your back with a little bit of support when you're sitting. You'll thank yourself. You won't have to come in here to see me, at least not nearly as often. And life will be good. So those were my 4 easy ways to protect your back. I'm sure there are others, but that was those are my top tips to help keep you rocking and rolling and moving and shaking and doing your best. Okay? So thanks, guys. Until next time, over and out.